While creating an optimal routine, it's not always about adding things, adding a new habit, or doing a new activity. Most times, it can be avoiding the things that are harming your routine so that it creates space and time for the things that are truly important. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to create an optimal routine. What is the difference between things that are must have and things that are good to have? And lastly, we'll share a simple, easy to follow evening and morning routine that is sure to add value to your life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wiser Together with your host Parmeet Kumar and Anas Pasha. Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate your support. Uh, there's a big problem in our society. Not so much to do with how we make our routines, but how we approach them. It's always about adding something new, doing this, doing that, uh, and we never seem to get to the end of it. But I feel like the problem is in the way approach, like I said. So maybe not approaching it from the point of view that you have to add things, but taking off things that don't add value, that take away from creating a life that is healthy, full of health and happiness. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about routine, how to create an optimal routine optimized for health per se. You can add things on top of that for success, for athletic performance, whatever your goal may be. But these pillars will stay at the foundation of health no matter what it is that you're trying to achieve. Optimizing for health is the best way to do it because if you're not healthy, you can't attend to any other thing in life. So, we'll go over the five pillars of health that you should absolutely incorporate in your routine that to optimize for health. We'll make a differentiation between what are the things that must be a part of your routine and what are the things that are good to be part of your routine, and we'll make sure how you're not compromising things that are must have for things that are good to have. We'll also go over simple morning and evening routines to optimize you for the day ahead. And lastly, we will also discuss the things that you should absolutely avoid, the don't do's. Please stick around till the end. We will also share a template with you that is easy to follow uh, and is sure to add value to your life. So, let's start with routine. Uh, Routine is certainly important, right, Anas? Obviously, we've seen a lot of growth in our life in the past year or so. How much of that do you credit to having a routine?
Well, everything, to be very honest. Routine has been the foundation, the pillar of, if I'm speaking for myself, everything that I am right now and is going to be pivotal in reaching our goals, my personal goals, and everything. So, without routine, I truly felt lost. I truly felt
Mm-hmm.
anxious all the time. I was always thinking that there's something being left, there's something being undone. Stones are not being overturned. So routine has been the most single defining thing in my entire life.
It's sort of like the map. You are the driver and you are the car, but if you don't have the map, if you don't have the directions, if you don't have the guidance or a standard that you're working towards or moving towards or going through, you're gonna go left and right, and it's only gonna take you longer to reach your destination, or maybe never reach your destination. So, if you are clear about your goals, that's I think important in order to be able to set an optimal routine. But even if you don't have goals, optimizing for health is a good way to start, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you ever feel like life is happening to you and you're not happening to life, and if decisions are being made for you, instead you are the one making the decisions, having a routine is just going to be super important. You're just only missing routine.
100%. So, uh, we've outlined how important routine is. I've seen too many times uh, around myself, and I have also been a victim of this for sure, wherein I would do I would compromise on things that are absolutely essential to have in your routine to optimize for health, and compromise that for things that are good to have but not essential, right? So let's clearly outline 5 pillars of health which are absolutely important no matter whatever you're optimizing for, absolutely important to have in your daily routine. So to start off with, sunlight. Sunlight is absolutely important. Sunlight is the single biggest and most important factor associated with waking up. Like, it helps you wake up. It wakes up your uh, cognitive uh, function. Uh, it restarts all the important functions in your body. So sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up, 5 to 10 minutes if you have direct access to, if you can see the sun, if it's a clear day, 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight will wake you up and activate those functions within your body. If it's a cloudy, dark day, maybe increasing that to 15 to 20 minutes. It's not important to directly look at the sun. Uh, there are light lumens around you. Even if it's a cloudy day and you're not able to look at the sun, just being outside, uh, your body will receive that light, right?
Absolutely. Just adding one more thing, it also helps your circadian rhythm, which is your sleep rhythm.
Yes,
So, as soon
most
as you
important.
wake up, yeah, as soon as you wake up, like Parmeet said, just having that exposure to the sunlight, just seeing that sunlight just tells your body that, okay. And by the way, we always talk about primitive things. This is how the world used to work before electricity. People used to wake up at dawn and used to sleep by sunset as well, because that's when your day used to start and day used to end in terms of what you can do, what you can see, right? So it's just connecting yourself with your primal self and just telling your body this is the time that you wake up, and you need to do that consecutively every day. Try waking up at the same time. That's going to help as well with your sleep pattern, the circadian rhythm that we talked about.
100%. And people, the other things that we're going to talk about at the foundation of these 5 pillars of health are sort of well known. Sunlight is something that a lot of people miss out on and isn't given enough important as it should. So it's something very easy to do, free to do, uh, and you will start to see impact in a few weeks. Uh,
Yes.
so
Parmeet, can I
definitely get your
mention
sunlight.
one more thing?
Yes, please.
All right, this is vitamin D3 as well. So, vitamin D3 is one nutrient that your body has the capability of producing by yourself. All it requires is the sunlight, right? So, it's super important to get that. I say this because I live in Dubai, and during not even Dubai, but by the way, most of the population in the world is deficient in that nutrient, and especially in Dubai you have people taking injections or supplements to cater to your vitamin D3 levels. The reason
Supplements
is
for
because,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but the reason is because in the summers it gets really really hot, so people want to avoid, we become vampires. And but yeah, definitely vitamin D3 is one nutrient that your body can produce by yourself. You just need sunlight to activate it, like Prameet said. So yeah, that's also going to be super super important for your mood and for your overall health.
100%. Okay. That's number one, sunlight, guys. Number two, you want to go over nutrition. It's no surprise. Number two is nutrition. You guys might already know this. So, what kind of food should we be eating? How much water should we be drinking? What are the things we should be avoiding? Just very briefly.
Uh, all right. So usually, I mean, since we're talking about Huberman's morning routine, what he does is, or what he recommends is, just having a glass of salty water. That's just for electrolyte purposes and other.
So, that will go
Yeah,
over
yeah.
in our morning and evening routines. In terms of nutrition, like, uh,
So personally, for me, what I do is that I don't eat anything. You know that as well. So I do fasted, but definitely in the morning you can start off with something light. We always recommend foods that are not processed, that are not out of the bag. So just having
exactly.
just having some fruit or some, let's say, a little bit of oatmeal, a little bit of protein in the morning would help. Nothing
Yeah.
that inducing. A little bit of fats such as nuts would also help, just so that your body can be in the rhythm. You don't feel that heavy and you don't have a cloudy mind. So yeah, just something light on your feet, and something on the go.
Yeah, 100%. You can find uh, different PMI calculators to check where you sort of fall and calculate your maintenance calories. You don't necessarily have to do that. In terms of nutrition, uh, the lesser ingredients, the better. The less
Yes, sir.
processed, the better. Uh, Whole foods are definitely the best. Uh, Eating raw vegetables, fruits, meat, fish, chicken, uh, grains, legumes, uh, seeds, nuts. The less processed they are, the less ingredients they're mixed with, the less they've been messed up with their chemistry, internal chemistry, the better it is for you. So whatever just comes from the earth, yeah, and it's not processed, right? So that is the best way. And in terms of water, 2 to 3 liters is absolutely essential. Water is one thing that, like, having less of water will create so many problems in your body. So it's absolutely essential that you have 2 to 3 liters of water every day without compromise, right? So that's nutrition as clean as you can. Most of these things are very straightforward and self-explanatory. They're very easy to understand, and you already know this as well. The less you process the food, the better and nutritious it is for you. So that's the second pillar of health. Moving on to the third one, sleep. How much sleep do we need, Anas?
All right, so sleep generally you can take between 6 to 8 hours, but I've always said, and the most important thing is your quality of sleep. You can sleep for 12 hours, and I've seen people sleep for 12 hours and they still wake up tired, fatigued, not really well rested, and that's because of the quality of their sleep. It depends what you do before as well. So, quality of sleep really matters, but 6 to 8 hours is the optimal time.
I would go ahead and say a little bit, like, I would say seven maybe is the minimum. Anas sleeps less, and it might work for some people, I guess. It doesn't necessarily work for me, and majority of the studies I've seen as well, they recommend minimum 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Some people can operate on six as well. Sleep is very, very important. It's the single biggest uh, thing that impairs or decides how good your cognitive function is. Uh, Sleep decides how you age, your rate of aging. Uh, it helps you prevent injuries. It helps you be decides how much you're able to focus, how susceptible you are to distractions. Uh, so sleep is absolutely important, and obviously with aging as well. If you don't sleep well, you'll die early, right? That's a known fact, right? It decides your rate of aging. Everything that you do throughout the day determines how much stress you take on, and so on, and that determines how well you will sleep that night. Everything that you do throughout the day, right? So sleep is connected to everything that you do throughout the day, and obviously, like, eating bad food will impact your sleep, which will impact your rate of aging, which will impact your longevity and life expectancy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just like you said that actually sleep by itself, yes, definitely it is the most imperative thing to do. But what you do before that during the day, like Parmi said, is going to determine the quality of your sleep. So
Yes.
the quality of your sleep, yeah, you have to protect the quality of your sleep, the integrity of your sleep.
100%. Quality is very important. Most people like just focus on the quantity, which is 7 to 8 hours, and they might be able to get that. But most important is how much of your sleep is are you doing in your zone 4, which is where your short-term memory is converted into long-term memory, and a lot of the important bodily functions happen there,
Yeah.
right?
And
Uh,
also, people don't realize how many times they wake up in the night, actually. So, for
yeah.
example, In a 6 hours worth of sleep, you might be waking up for 2 to 3 periods of 10 to 15 minutes. That really happens. You might not feel like you
Be
wake up, but
conscious. Yeah.
yeah, but you're up.
Yeah, 100%. I You can use a sleep if you're like obsessed and you want to get to the small details of it and optimize there. You can definitely get a sleep tracking device. Apple watches do that as well.
Apple
I
Watch,
wear
Garmin, yeah, Garmin Watch also does that as
Garmin's
well.
really good.
Yeah, yeah,
I wear Whoop, which also tells me a lot about my sleep and other
yeah.
things about my performance. So yeah, if you want to get to that, you can definitely track your sleep and get down to the details of it. But just a basic rule of thumb: 7 to 8 hours minimum, and then we'll go over some things in our morning and evening routine that can enhance or diminish your quality of sleep. uh, Moving on, exercise. 20 to 30 minutes at the very minimum of exercise, at least 5 times a week, is essential for your uh, for your health. Uh, just increasing your heart rate and regulating it again and again is absolutely important for your cardiovascular health, and that just determines how well your heart is beating uh, under stress and not under stress, which then determines your obviously sleep and then your rate of aging. Cardiovascular health, deliberately increasing your heart rate and then regulating it, has shown to uh, bring your resting heart rate lower, which then determines basically the less beats you need per minute. What that means is every time your heart beats, that's supplying blood through your veins to your organs. So, how many times does your heart need to beat per minute to supply that blood to your organs to operate? The lesser it is, the better your health is, right? And the more cardiovascular activities you do, amongst other things that are also have an impact on this, that will reduce your heart rate. It doesn't necessarily have to be any specific kind of training. Walking is not involved. It's important that you increase your heart rate. Could be running, could be weightlifting, could be swimming, could be any exercise, any sport. Unless, for example, weightlifts, he's also got into running these days, right? Almost finished a marathon earlier this year, which was amazing. I myself also do weightlifting and then running and boxing on the side as well. Uh, it doesn't necessarily have to be extensive, or it doesn't necessarily have to be hours and hours and every day. If you are, you can do that for other purposes, but just to optimize for health, 20 to 30 minutes of resistance training or running or any kind of uh, sport or exercise will uh, give you those cardiovascular benefits.
Absolutely. I mean, look, after 3 years of having done this day in and day out, I am 100% convinced that morning workouts are just essential to start your day. Not only does it kickstart your body's metabolism and the things that you talked about, supplying fresh oxygen and just really activating your muscle and just feeling alive as well. You see, when you work out in the morning, when you get that stretch in, and like Parmeet said, you can do anything. But the idea is that you must increase your heart rate. For me personally, I feel whenever I go beyond the 150 beats per minute mark, I really feel activated. Like my cognitive ability, my energy levels, my mood, everything just elevates, and I have a fantastic day every day. I'm telling this from 3 years of my experience. A guy who never used to wake up in the morning, who used to work out in the night, not saying necessarily that that doesn't work as well. It works for everyone else. But for me, working out in the morning, getting my stretch in, like a full body stretch in, just making sure that each muscle has woken up And because you see, I have a desk job, that's very important for me to have a complete stretch in the morning, getting my back straightened out as well. I do hangs as well for 30 seconds for 3 sets. I'm trying to increase that time to 1 minute. That really decompresses your spine. And then, like Parmeet said, just adding muscles to your body. Weightlifting is super important for your metabolism, be a man or a woman. And then, of course, running elevated, I feel like, has been a game changer for me as well. Not only does it do wonder for my VO2 max, but just operating in that zone 2 and zone 4, just really, like I said, pumps my heart. I feel amazing, I feel elevated, I feel energetic. And I normally have 16-hour work days. So in order to get through those days, working out is very important, considering that I fast as well. So this is 3 years of my personal experience. I'm also trying to collect some data over here as well, just to be factual. But of course, you don't have to follow the same thing. uh, like Parmeet said, do your own thing, come up with your own routine, come up with your own workout schedule.
based on this. Yeah, personally for me as well, mornings works better, but there's and it has does have its benefits. But what's more important is that you get one in. If you can't get one in the morning, get in a workout in the evening, 20 to 30 minutes at the very minimum, right? And that's number four, right? And lastly, number five is socializing, community, the quality of your friendships. Uh, the quality of your relationship with your friends, family, community is the single biggest factor uh, uh, that determines the longevity of your life. And there's several studies done on this. We also did a podcast on this that you can check it out. Can't remember which episode it was, but we can link it in the description below,
For
where
sure.
we went over a study and shared that the quality of your relationships is the single biggest factor in determining the longevity of your health. And they've checked this in green zones. Green zones are places which have a majority of the population living in those places is over 100 years old. So that when they did research, were understanding different elements of their lifestyle and how they add to their longevity, and social connection has been at the core of it in all societies.
Absolutely. And Khushi Andani in episode 40 also talked about this, that we're a society, we're social being animals. And she said the same thing that you said, that in order for longevity, having a positive, happy, abundant life, you need to have that social connection. I'm privileged enough, Pramit also, and in fact, everyone in this world is privileged enough to have that human connection. We were not privileged enough when COVID was there, and you saw a lot of reports where people,
Yeah.
when they had to basically stay in their apartment, their houses, they didn't have that social connection, right? Especially people living in apartment complex, living alone. So that was just something that people were deprived of. So that's just very important, like Pramit said.
Yeah, and that's a real life example of that, right? We very well saw how that a lot of people went through depression, and obviously we were also very sad and upset, and I'm sure a lot of people were affected by it, and a lot of people at that time came out and shared how hard it was just because of having that lack of social connection. And it's so important, like, to understand as well, because we still had internet, we still could call them or FaceTime them or do those things, but just having that one-on-one physical connection, conversation can be so empowering and so enlightening. uh, and it can relieve a lot of stress, right? Which can reduce inflammation, which can then obviously increase your longevity as well.
Correct. Something I'm going to mention, I think everyone can relate. Whether you're going in an elevator or, okay, for me, during my morning walks or runs, I meet a lot of people. And it's like a sort of like, I don't know how to say, like a like an understanding, like a nod, because you see them every day, they see you every day at the same time as well, and
Yeah.
they're giving you like a hi, how are you, and it just feels very nice. I mean, there's nothing but positives over there. You feel like, oh, you know that guy, and they're smiling at you, you're smiling at them, and you never know what someone could be going through. Just a little bit of hi, hello, how are you, just checking up on them goes a long, long way for themselves and for yourself as well.
100%. It's an exchange of positive energy, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be a verbal conversation. Just passing on a smile uh, is an exchange of that energy that says that I acknowledge that you're here every day and you're working out, and I'm doing the same, and we're in the same boat together, and we're there for each other, and we appreciate taking this action that we are for ourselves. Uh, and yeah, it just gives each other that sense of belonging and community, right? You see people every day. So these are the five ones. It's no surprise that these five were the same five pillars of health thousands and thousands of years ago. In our primal times, we'd sleep 7 8 hours, we wake up, we get our sunlight, we we're hunter gatherers, so naturally we had a very you know, busy and physically intensive lifestyles as we were walking, running, hunting, and then obviously we were eating clean. Processed food wasn't there at the time. Obviously, we were eating berries and meat and this that. And lastly, obviously, we were social beings, so we had a some community, a society around us that we were engaging in every day. So these five things have been there since the beginning of time. Uh, so they're absolutely essential. Do not add in anything to take away from these five things. You can add things on top of this, but not at the cost of this. We also want to add one more to this, which is the sixth one, which is absolutely important in the times we live in today. The
Yeah.
times we live in today aren't the same as the times we were living in our primal times. Today, we have so many distractions. Uh, we live in the world of internet. We have constant exposure to whatever it is that we want, absolutely whatever, right? There is no sense of control. You can absolutely go on internet and find whatever. There's people pinging you, uh, there's shows, food, there's so many things that are going on, right? So in those in these times where our basic needs are met and we have so many distractions, we fall victim to these distractions because our basic primal needs are met. We have nothing to do, so we fall victim to these distractions. So one thing, the sixth pillar uh, that this podcast is based around as well, is mindfulness. I think it's absolutely important to have a mindfulness practice in your routine. 5, 10, 15 minutes is up to you. It's more about consistency, something you can do every day, be it 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever that looks like for you. That will help you be more self aware, be more control of your thoughts, be more control of your life, be more intentional. Uh, and yeah, just generally be more present. They say a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So the ability to be present is what truly makes you happy, even if that present is unpleasant, right? uh, but learning and understanding that is very important. Mindfulness not just helps you with that, making you present and happy, it also helps you relieve stress. It also helps you with reducing inflammation. It also helps you enhance your focus that can be used in other areas of life. I personally uh, try to meditate as much as I can, maybe few times a day here and there. Uh, medit Traditionally, people might think of meditation just sitting down, cross-legged, hands on your knees, and eyes closed and just breathing. That is one way of meditation. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of ways you can meditate. There's a walking meditation. There's an eating meditation. There's extroceptive practices and introspective practices. The difference between the both is if your eyes are shut or open. Uh, you could do meditating driving to your work. You could do, there's different kinds of meditations, right? But just it's essentially being deliberate with where you put your attention, and
And we
that
have
determines
a
your perception.
Yeah, and we have a five-part series on this as well on our channel. Parmeet goes into great length explaining about it as well.
Yeah, so that's something we can add it to if you're learning to meditate. If you're a beginner, just understanding it, that can be a good place to start. Do give us your feedback, what you think, and if it's been helpful. Uh, and yeah, thank you for that. Do check it out, please. Okay, so these are the six ones. Sleep 8 hours, wake up, get your sunlight, eat good food, socialize with your friends, get some exercise in, and lastly, have a mindfulness practice. It's not rocket science, very basic. Everybody can do this. The most important thing is it's absolutely free. So it's accessible to everyone. Everything in this list is accessible to everyone. It just all it requires is action, willingful action, right? So that just comes down to you. Let's move on to must haves and good to haves. Uh, has there been a time where you sort of compromised one of these essential pillars to do something that is good to have, per se? I'm sure we've all been there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe like for me, I would say maybe I can't pinpoint it, but like let's say, okay, you wake up early, you compromise your 2 hours of sleep, you wake up early at 6, but then you're doing stretching, or you're using your phone, or you're doing face masks, or you're having this extensive skincare routine in the morning, all of that to reduce your rate of aging, but then you're compromising on sleep, which is the most essential pillar.
Oh yeah,
It just doesn't
but
add up.
and I think the most common one has to be with if you have like a morning plan, like sometimes you might want to have an early breakfast with your friends or your family or something like this. Not saying that that's not important because that plays into the social part, but not at
Yes.
the cost of your sleep or your workout or
Yeah.
your mindfulness practice. Um, you can definitely plan your day ahead, maybe sleep a little early, wake up a little early, but like Parmeet said, these are must to have, and you never want to like have a trade off between your must haves and good to have.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like it's moving backwards. If you sleep less to do something that is gonna help you slow your rate of aging or enhance your life, and help you with recovery, you've neglected the most foundational pillar, which is just sleep. A lot of times I see like people would do so many things to recover from a hectic intense workout, but they wouldn't sleep enough, which is absolutely most important, right?
Yeah.
These are just some of the examples. Do not compromise your must haves for things that are good to have. You're just moving backwards in that case, right? I can almost guarantee you, no matter what it is that you do with your skincare or stretching, then again could be a part of mindfulness. It just depends. But no matter what it is that you do, and you take time away from sleep, uh, is not going to benefit you. It's going to be a net negative for sure.
The idea is that you make time for the six things. You make time, it's fine. You can have your good to have, but as long as you make time for the six important things, maybe they can come first and the rest of the things can follow.
Yeah. So that's that. Do share with us if you have sort of been at this crossroads as well, where you've done something that feels good and is good to have, but compromised on the foundational on the one of the foundational pillars that we just mentioned. Moving on, creating an morning routine and an evening routine. Let's start with morning on us. Let's take us over a morning optimal morning routine.
So absolutely. So actually, your morning routine starts from the night before, right?
Yes.
So what you want to do is you want to close that previous day off, right? Because like Parmeet said, mindfulness over here is the most important thing. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind, and trust me, if you're not able to sleep, it's because your mind is thinking and your mind is wandering, right? Sorry. So The most important thing is that you close off your day the day before. And by that, what I mean is you make sure that your to do things for the next day are set out, maybe on your phone or maybe on a piece of note. Your phone, very, very important, is in a separate room, not with you alongside your pillow. That's not where it belongs, right? You need to have your clothes. Sorry about that. I don't know. It's Ramadan, so I can't have my warm honey tea, so my throat just catches up. But yeah, thank you. All right. So what I like I was saying, close off your day, no phone, have your to-do list ready, have your clothes ready as well, so that when you wake up in the morning, there's less friction in you being ready for the day ahead, right? So those would be the three four things that you have to do the night before. Personally for me, so I like to sleep early, maybe between 8:30 9:30, depending on my work day. Sometimes if I do work a little bit late, then I might sleep a little bit late. It might even stretch on to 10. Then I wake up at 4:30. The first thing that I'm doing is conducting my spiritual practices. So once that out of the way, then I straightforward go to my six things that we talk about, the six must have. So those are an absolute must. I try to get them entirely done between 1 to 1.5 hour. And then after that, I do have my skincare routine. I do have a little bit of reading that I do. What I really like to do is that I read my goals as well. We have talked about A type, B type, C type goals, but every morning, once I'm done with my six must have things to do, I go and I read and I visualize my C type goal. These are very important for your mindset as well. It just gives you a perspective on what's important in your life currently, right now, and what you're striving to achieve, why you're doing all of these things, right? Then, yes, it's a whole workday. So, my workday involves me being an e commerce manager. Uh, Either before or either after work, I also do Wiser Together's work because that's equally important to me. But you have to manage two three things in your life which are important to you. Ideally it should not be more than two things because you won't be able to manage. People say you can do five six things at a time, but that's just going to take away from your energy. So that's totally up to you. I leave that to you. For me, these are the two most important things in my life right now, so I intend to apply all of my time, my effort, my cognitive ability into these two things, right? And that only happens with the active work schedule. So I have a whole work schedule defined for me. Maybe we can do an episode later about that, about how we plan our productivity. But yeah, that's how my morning comes. My last coffee or anything to do with caffeine comes in at 12, right? I don't have anything after 12 because that hampers with my sleep, and we're going to talk about that in the end, about in the don't do's. So I fast the entire day. I practice one meal a day. That's coming from a guy who has had food his entire life throughout the day, not knowing, not understanding what effect it had on me, right? So ever since I've been practicing this routine, it has been phenomenal for me. My day usually ends at 6 or 7 after some client calls. After that, what I go for either swimming, my cryotherapy, my sauna, my light bed therapy. I come home, I have a specific calorie email. So sorry, email.
Food,
Mail, yeah,
dinner,
meal. Oh my god,
meal.
why did I even say email?
You
Anyway,
didn't sleep
so
well today.
no. It's just like sometimes like I'm
Ramadan is
Ramadan
catching up.
as well, and when your mind is just thinking too fast and your mouth can't catch up, so that's
I
sometimes,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
you tend to call meal email. So anyway, so yeah, that's having food is one of the last things that I do. I like to sleep like 45 minutes after I had my food, just so that I could have some movement. And yeah, I don't go to sleep with a full tummy, and that's about it. I close off my day. I set my things for the day tomorrow. That's what my day looks like, anchoring on a morning routine. I do not have an evening routine. I have an evening routine which basically have all the other things, I would say, but my routine is anchored in the morning because that's when I feel the most efficient, the most physically active, the most cognitively optimized. Yeah, and that's for me. How about you, Parmeet?
Amazing. That's very well put together. Uh, like you mentioned, your morning routine starts the night before, and that starts the morning off. So depending on how you wake up and if you take sunlight or not in the morning will determine how well you sleep at night, which will determine your day ahead. So it's all connected. Obviously, you might notice a theme here that sleep sits at the core of it. Sits at the center of everything that you do. Whatever it is that you do the day off and the next day, uh, how you how best you get your quality of sleep is the most important. So starting with just trying to optimize that itself. Taking magnesium at night before sleeping, an hour before, can help with melatonin production. Melatonin is the sleep hormone that basically puts you to sleep. Having sleep music also calms your mind, which can benefit or ease getting into sleeping. Temperature is also very important. Having a colder temperature will also then increase melatonin production and help you sleep better. In terms of food, I avoid it at least 2 hours before, because the thing is, once you eat, your digestive system gets to work. And you might, a lot of times, I mean, we've been there as well. We eat and then we go to sleep, and then we feel like we're sleeping so good, but your system isn't really getting that rest that it needs. You're not going into REM sleep, which is zone 4, which is the most important. That's what determines the quality of your sleep. You can be sleeping, uh, just not in zone 4, which is your REM sleep, right? So
Absolutely.
there's non REM and REM sleep. You can look more into this. Uh, I also avoid water before sleeping. That's because if you drink water, I avoid water at least an hour, 90 minutes before sleeping. Uh, that didn't make sense to me before, but I looked more into it. If you drink water closer to bedtime, you will wake up. Your sleep will be disrupted in the middle of the night, where you'll wake up to go use the toilet or whatever it may be. Uh, so, avoiding water and food. Food, 2 to 3 hours, water, 1 to 2 hours, and then especially light. Avoiding light at least 1 hour before bedtime. Your It's to do with your circadian rhythm, right? So if you
Yes.
have exposure to light at night before sleeping, uh, that will restrict melatonin production, which will make it harder for you to go to sleep. uh, so put down the lights. I have got these glasses. You can find them on Amazon. They only cost like a few dollars or something. Anti blue light glasses. If you're not able to be in an environment where you can't reduce your exposure to light, just put on those glasses in the last hour. Don't use your phone. If you have to use your phone, there is setting in your iPhone where you can make it black and white, and you can change it to red, which is blue light, right? So you won't get that blue light that restricts your melatonin production. uh, so that's for the night, which is essential to getting quality sleep. Avoiding food a couple of hours before, avoiding water, avoiding light, taking magnesium, which is great, amazing supplement for melatonin production, which then improves your sleep. Sleep music helps. Temperature helps. There is a lot of other factors, that things that you could do to improve your sleep. There is so-called sleep enthusiasts and people who are like obsessed with uh, improving their sleep. So Whoop, the sleep tracking device I wear, it gives you a percentage of sort of like maybe 70, 80%, 90% based on that. And then there's a community on Whoop that is fully dedicated to and determined to optimize your sleep. So there's obviously sleep nerds out there that you can learn a lot from and look more into. But these things are essentially that are easy to follow and will give you the benefits. Waking up, as soon as you wake up, within 30 minutes, getting sunlight is absolutely important. It will restart your circadian rhythm. Uh, Also, one more thing, in the first hour, your brain is in alpha waves. So it's basically more uh, neuroplastic, which means it's more susceptible to change. It's less restrictive to change. It will change more. So the things that you do in the morning, that theme will follow throughout the day. So doing affirmations, practicing gratitude, having a mindfulness practice in the morning can be extremely beneficial. Just having affirmations as well in the morning, they will put you in that mood and basically shift your perspective in a little way. And gratitude is all about perspective as well, right? It's just about where you focus your attention. We all have things that we can be happy about and we can be sad about. It just comes down to where your attention is, which determines your perception. Your perception is basically any sensation that you're paying attention to in that moment. That's what perception is, right? So just changing your perception by intentionally attending to positive thoughts, affirmations, gratitude will really, uh, make you happy and put you in a good mood. Uh, and then obviously once you do get that sunlight, that will help you sleep better at night. Okay, so that's your morning and evening routine. Lastly, we will one by one just go over things that you should avoid. Things, a lot of the times it's not necessarily always about adding things. Taking away things from your routine can be equally beneficial as well, if not more, right? So we'll go one by one. Anas, do you want to start?
Oh yeah, I think number one thing, like I mentioned, has to be coffee or caffeine, because caffeine tend to have a half life. So what that really essentially means is that, for example, caffeine stays in your system for 12 hours, right? So it basically dilutes half by half, right? Its efficacy goes half by half. So, for example, if you have your coffee, last coffee at 12, so supposedly, I forgot the number. Maybe everyone can do their own research, because, to be very honest, it varies. Coffee stays in your system for 8 hours. So after 4 hours, its half life is gone. But then another 4 hours is there with half of its other life. So that's what you want to avoid. Not having coffee after noon max, so that you can wind down, like Parmeet said, around 8 9, or whenever you like to. But having coffee after that will definitely not result in good quality sleep, right? Another thing, personally, for me, this works for me towards the mental
Okay, let's
side.
go one by one. Let's go one by
Oh
one.
yes, I'm very sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Go on, go on. And also, like, I think coffee essentially what it does is it restricts melatonin
Yes,
production, which is
yes,
why you don't feel sleepiness. So having it later on during the day will obviously restrict your melatonin production, which will affect your sleep. It depends, like on a set for different people. Um, but yeah, staying in that, if you're sleeping by 10, 12, staying in that 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. range at the latest is a safe bet. Okay, so for me, don't do is absolutely important. Using your phone or social media first thing in the morning. I used to do this certainly, and as I'm getting older and understanding more and more of this, and certainly like throughout these days as well, I've had some days where I would check my phone and then I would instantly feel different. I don't know if you guys know Jay Shetty, but he says it's like first thing you wake up, as soon as you wake up, inviting 100 people into your room, right?
yeah.
It's just you're opening yourself up to hundreds of opinions and perceptions, which can be very unhealthy in terms of it can create a lot of gap between you and your inner voice, right? You sort of feel lost. And obviously, because that time is you're in that your brain activity is in that alpha waves, you're more susceptible to change. So if you're someone who goes on social media, and obviously we tend to compare, we tend to do all those things. So if you do that in the morning, extremely harmful. So avoid your phone, your emails, at least for an hour after getting out of bed, and 1 hour before getting to bed.
Absolutely, bro. I think that's so imperative, and a lot of people will relate. For me, it has to be closing off the day. I cannot sleep. I have this. I have developed this thing which I think is for the good. That if I do not close my day, if I don't have a tally of things that I was supposed to do that day and I couldn't get done, and I don't put them, like I don't acknowledge them and put them into the next day, because sometimes it does really happen that I am not able to complete some of my tasks for the day. So I do make sure that I carry it over the next day, so that I understand that, okay, today might not have been a good productive day, but tomorrow I can start them one by one as first priority, because these are pending tasks of the day. People don't usually think about these things because these are very trivial, or sometimes, and look, I used to be like this. I used to be like, huh, I'll do it tomorrow. But like Parmeet said, as we're growing older, as we're becoming more and more professional in our lives, it's just accountability and responsibility is just very very much important, and you need to develop a sense of this, because you might not be directly or consciously feeling this, but subconsciously it will be in your mind. You will be feeling like you forgot something, or something is sort of like there creeping inside your mind, like what was I supposed to do? Did I do this? Did I do not do this? Because trust me, when you get all of your things done for the day, and when you've ticked off those things, and Parmeet and I have talked about this, that's the inner joy. Trust me, there's no better feeling than going to bed at night, having a good hard day, and having earned that sleep on your pillow, because that just instantly puts you to sleep. However, if there are things that are not done, it'll give you a little bit of voices inside
Tension,
your head.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be like, ah, okay, but yeah, but at least having accountability for that, closing off your day, that's just super super important for me.
Amazing. uh, and lastly, when you wake up, don't do this. Do not stay indoors. Do not get, even if you have glass around you and you are getting sunlight, but it's through a windscreen in your car or through a glass in your home or through a window, that does not work as effectively. Just getting in direct sunlight to your body is what essentially works. Indoor lighting does not work, right? So don't think being indoors and in front of the sun even, uh, it does not work. You lose out on that nutritious benefits, and it does not restart your circadian rhythm. So do actually get actual sunlight. Step outside, and if it's dark, do that as soon as the sun rises. And if it's cloudy, uh, instead of 5 to 10 minutes, stay in there 15 to 20 minutes, right? Maybe go for a walk. You can pair this up with stretching. I stretch outside these days while taking my sunlight, so I'm saving time. At the same time, I'm doing my stretching and getting sunlight. Or you could pair this up with a walking meditation, so you're doing mindfulness and getting sunlight at the same time. There are ways you can pair this with another essential pillar and do both at the same time. So that's that, guys. We'll also attach a template in the description for you guys to work on, and hopefully, it's very simple and easy to follow uh, with your evening and morning routine, and maybe you can uh,
Yeah, it's
go over it.
just yeah, it just lists examples as well, like 7 days a week, what you can do for that particular pillar of health that we talked about.
Yes, uh, exactly. And Anas came with this, so thank you, Anas. It looks wonderful. I've checked it out. We'll share it with you guys as well, and hopefully, it can add value to your life as well.
For
Thank you
sure.
so much for joining us. We hope this has been valuable. If you'd like to add anything, please let us know, and we will see you next Sunday.
All right, ciao, guys.